All right, headed back live here. Wait for some folks to jump on. Okay, so I had some questions that unfortunately on the other ones I didn't get to because we had some lagging issues. So I'm gonna start with a couple of those before everyone does come back on. So let's see. Hi, I'm PNT. When VA changes the rating criteria for a condition, can VA reduce me based on the new criteria, or am I grandfathered? The answer is you should be grandfathered. You should be rated for at the time at which you were rated. I've seen the VA try to reduce people. I strongly recommend to veterans never to file another claim on that issue, frankly, or any issue if they're PNT, because it's harder to get more benefits. If there's a chance for special monthly compensation, that could be different, but still, there's the law, and then there's what the VA does. So I would caution against applying again, but the law states that just because the rating criteria changes, they can't retrospectively go back and change all those issues. All right, so I had William ask, can the SMC-T spawn at the VA even if the claim wasn't filed? Have proof of diagnosis and nexus. I just didn't file it at the VA for ANA. So we're mixing around legal terms here. If you are going to the VA, the BVA for a TBI claim or a TBI increase claim, that both of those, both the claim itself and the increase, they implicitly handle, if you will, they implicitly contain a claim for maximum rating. And a maximum rating in your case would show SMCT. So the answer is, if you had the claim for TBI or TBI increase, then yes, there can be a claim for SMC, but an SMC claim is inherently part of the underlying claim for a benefit. All right, KY. Do I have a legal right to ask C&P examiner to do a supplemental report to address a related medical issue that I want her to address? No, you do not. The VA medical examiner is going to narrowly tailor their exam to what is specifically requested from the VA adjudicator. So sometimes I've seen them actually not even address secondary issues. So if a vet has a back problem, they won't address the radiculopathy, the pain shooting down a leg or an arm due to the back, or diabetes. If they have a nephropathy, a problem with their kidney, sometimes I'll see them say, no, that's outside of the scope of what I was asked to do. I was asked to look at whether or not the veteran has diabetes. All right. I am not getting any live feed questions, so I just want to make sure that was on my computer. It's not missing anything, talking to my technical team here. But I'd still have several other questions that I missed from last time, so I will go over those. Ms. Anderson, how can I connect decreased kidney function as secondary to UTI? Well, you need your doctor or an outside forensic doctor to connect that for you. If you go to the VA C&P exam and they say no, it's not connected, it's caused by something else, then you definitely have to have your doctor go out and say it. Place. All right. So let's see. Mr. Casper, if a veteran decides to retain your law firm services, how do you guys handle the medical aspect if we're in a different state? Do you all have your own doctors that will evaluate us? So when I first started out, I used to look for a doctor in every state, every location where a veteran was. just because I thought they needed to see them. And then as the case law evolved, it became apparent that an in-person visit is not necessary. And what's necessary is that the veteran know what they're talking, the doctor know what they're talking about. The doctor needs to be competent. And so for my firm, what we've done is we've developed a relationship with a group of, not a group of doctors, but with just doctors all over the US whom we find to be very well educated, very qualified, and they understand the VA process. So with our firm, we don't send vets out if we do not have to. Most of the time, what we do is a FaceTime or some kind of Zoom or something, and then the doctor has all the vet's medical records. They talk to the vet about it. They talk to a spouse or other family members about how their service-connected disability affects the veteran. So we don't typically do that. There are instances where if the veteran has an initial rating, service-connected issue that for some reason they need to be seen, we would try to find a doctor locally, or an orthopedic issue that required a range of motion, we would do that. So to answer the question, in a way, we make it as comfortable as possible for the veteran. They never have to leave their house. And with that, we get the most qualified doctors to actually see their claim. Okay, looking over here, Lucy. I just got rated 5 out of 6 on PTSD scale. What can I expect in that alone? Have more issues in progress, Vietnam veteran. I don't know what a 5 out of 6 on the PTSD scale is. Typically, they have scales for the treating doctors. They have scales in-house, meaning in the hospital, that they use to do a quick evaluation of a veteran. Those scales are not ones that the VA adjudicators will use. So I'm not sure. A 5 out of 6, on a C&P exam, there's six or at least different pages. So I'm not quite sure how that would compute, Lucy. But I would say that you're dealing with a serious issue here that you definitely need to get both get help on and get benefits for. So make sure that if you haven't seen CP and doctor, that you talk not just about flashbacks, night terrors, those things, but also any issues with anger or isolation, or just not being socialized or be around others. So let's see. We've got William. Can BBA? Listen to this. Can BBA see that TBI diagnose and test with Nexus without having it in the claim? The reason why is because when SMC is introduced, should the judge consider SMC-T or R1? So again, this is one, if the TBI is not something claimed, or the TBI isn't implicitly claimed, so to say the veteran applies for a mental health diagnosis and it turns out that the veteran's underlying issue was TBI, then that would be something where the VA would have to address that. If it gets to the board and they say, if there's a test with a diagnosis and a nexus, that to me says that it's been developed, that it's actually been part of the claim. So I would say yes, the board has to address that because it's actively being processed by the VA. And so if that's the case, then SMC would be in play. SMC-T would be in play, not SMC-T, R1. R1 is just for a regular SMC. It's pretty confusing, but SMC-T, you can go from SMC aid in attendance at SMCL up to SMC-T. It's a different process in how it jumps. So it's you would be looking for SMC-T, I guess is the short way I would say that. Let's see here. Ben Thornley, I have 100%. What is the amount of money that I will receive? Can I put something in here? Ben, I am trying to find, shoot. Ben, I can't find it, but if you Google VA comp rates, you should be taken to that page. Let's see if I can just bring it up real quick without messing things up again. I believe this is it. No. I'm sorry, Ben, it looks like I can't get this. Let's try one more time. I think this is it. Okay, so I'm going to put this in the, hopefully that comes up in the in the live chat there, but that's where you get two rates, and it depends on 100% would depend on if you have a spouse, if you have kids, if you have dependent parents. There's a lot of different variables there that would affect the rate. All right, for HRL, is VA required to call me if I wrote in the form requesting a phone call? They are, well, they're required to. Do they all the time? No, but yes, they should be giving you a call. That typically happens pretty fast too. With the HLR, higher level review cases, I find that they happen rather quickly. I'd say 4 weeks to sometimes 3 months the most, which is pretty for VA. So that's moving pretty fast. Let's see. Hello, Combat Greg. John K. While looking into my current claim, I was told I needed, where did that go? I was needed to address old claims, but not to do so until after these claims are taken care of, not to even file an intent file. John, I don't know who gave you that advice, or frankly, what was advised. Here's how I say it. I don't care when what claim was filed. What I would do is sit and look down with a VSO or with a family member. I think family member is actually better, and say, what are your strongest claims? Do you have a hearing loss claim that you want to file, an elbow claim, a knee, something with your back? I would say, which one of those cause the max amount of problems for you? That's what I would focus on. You could battle for 10 years for tinnitus, and your max rating is going to be 10%. So I would look and say, what are the issues that are affecting me the most, and file those. I don't care if they were new issues or old issues, but those are the ones you want to pursue. Okay, I think I got my questions back over here. Let's see. Okay, missed some, it looks like. Sammy Whammy. I'm about to go to C&P exams this week and next for all my issues. Doing it under the BDD program. Wish me luck. Good luck, Sammy. Hope we don't hear from you again, because you got the benefits you deserved. What if I didn't claim SMCT? This is William. Okay, so special monthly compensation can be something you claim separately. Okay, if you are already rated, you have a max rating, you can go in and say, I should be filed for special monthly compensation. But special monthly compensation is actually an inferred claim that starts from the date at which you are eligible. So just to break that down, if you, the easiest one is you become 100% and you have a separate group of ratings that combine to 60%. At that point, you're entitled to what's called SMCS, okay? If you never file a claim for SMCS until, let's say, 10 years later, say, hey, look, I just found out I was entitled to these benefits. Well, the VA has to take that all the way back. This is a rare instance where the VA has to go far back, because that claim was sitting there and it was never adjudicated by the VA. So if you have a claim for TBI, SMCT is a special monthly compensation that applies just for those with traumatic brain injuries. Okay. If you have a claim for TBI and you get a max rating, and then it's determined that you actually need aid and attendance due to that, and then you can show that there's someone who basically takes care of you and gives you medical care, and even though they're not a medical doctor, then at that point you can get SMCT, but you don't have to have claimed it. You just have to be focused on the underlying claim there. All right. Let's see. KY for HLR. Yep, they're supposed to call you. I'm sorry. We're a little out of sync today, folks. So I appreciate your patience. Let's see. John K. At a C&P exam, how do I get it documented that range of motion pain can be worse when it might be that day? Or is that a buddy letter? I would write a buddy letter. I'd have you write a letter. I have your friend write a letter, your wife write a letter, your mom write a letter, everybody write a letter, okay? Because they are going to screw that up. You tell them that. You say, hey, look, wow, look, I'm getting amazing range of motion today. It doesn't hurt. But you say to the doc, this isn't normal. This isn't normally how it goes. Normally I'm much worse. Along those lines, one really, it's this thing that works against you that I see a lot is that vets go into these exams having medicated, either taken, something as little as Tylenol or something as strong as, oxycodone or whatever they're taking on a normal basis. And they're taking that because they can't move, they can't get around. I strongly advise not to take that, because if you take that, how can the VA tell what your range of motion on pain is? You've dulled the pain, you've gotten rid of the pain, which is good for you, but it's not good to show how awful and how severe your benefits are. So buddy letters, I am a big fan of those, John. Lucy, okay, you saw a shrink. Okay, great, Ben, thanks. Charles Keyser, what are some tactics to be used when you do not have medical records? 15 years fighting with the VA and still only have my entrance exams and 2 service treatment records. Been very hard to get anything moving. Okay, tactics to use. So Charles, if you could come back a little bit down here and tell me, are you talking about getting service treatment records or current medical records? Because it sounds like service records, but I don't want to go far afield. Combat Craig, can you give us your thoughts about the VA putting the Dbqs back up on their website? I think it's a good thing. I want to know what they're asking my vets. I mean, I see that because we ask for the C file once it comes through. But here's the catch. I don't get my experts to fill those out because I think they're crap. I think they're these, check the box little, does the veteran have this? Check, especially for mental health. Is the veteran in, do they get mad? Do they have nightmares frequently? So I don't necessarily use them, but what I do like to do is I like to have those questions so that our experts can look at them and say, what do you think of these? And our experts will actually write out like a long narrative, multi-pages versus just a check the box. So I think it's good because if you don't have an expert, then hopefully you can at least take that to your treating doctor, because that's a lot easier than having them write from nothing. So I think it is a good thing. My thought overall is the more transparent the VA is, the better the process is going to work. So I like that. My organization that I'm with, the National Organization of Veterans Advocates, fought tooth and nail to get that to be done. And again, to me, it comes back to transparency. Okay, let's see. Army George, what VA department deals with recoupment SSB service payment? I don't know offhand who deals with that. I think that's actually the DoD, if I'm reading that correctly, but I'm not positive, Army George. Okay, William, we were talking about TBI. So claim is at the BVA, the TBI claim at the BVA, affidavit and treatment records show daily back hip therapy with caregiver. Also have medicine. I'm rated at 40% for back. Will judge see this also as an R1 ANA based on daily therapy? You got to get up to 100% first, and then you can start talking about ANA, and you go from there. But if you have daily hip therapy, I mean that's clearly to me ANA, but you still need to get your underlying rating up. All right, old as dirt veteran. If I have a lawyer working on my claim, can I file new claims? If I have a lawyer, I don't like it when veterans file new claims and I'm their attorney, because I want to know what all's being filed, what stage what stage it's at. I mean, can you have the attorney file new claims? Sure, but the attorney might have a reason for you to not file a new claim at that point. So, that to me says maybe you want to do it on your own. If you don't feel like the case is going in the angle you want, then you could call the attorney and say, hey, look, this is not it's not going where I want. Let's just disengage services, and you go from there. Personally speaking, we rarely file new claims. I can't give you hard data on this, but I found that those new claims will slow down the claims that I thought were good to begin with, that we should pursue to get the max benefits. So it's a pretty rare instance that I would file new claims. But again, if you feel strongly about it, attorney doesn't want to do it, say, hey, look, this isn't working for me, and go your own way. Let's see. Sorry for being. Oh, it's quite okay. William, these are not. This is the VA. It's not easy. It's not straightforward as it should be. In fact, it can be rather frustrating to say the least. I'm on camera here, so I got to watch what I say. All right, Charles again. Service records. I have about 600 pages of personal records, but cannot get service connected to save my life. Well, so somehow you would need to take those personnel records, find the instance, find the event that caused what's going on with you right now. And then you need to get a medical person, a doctor, PA, nurse practitioner, to connect the two, to say, look, I've read these records, I see what he has now, here's the relationship between the two, and this is why it should be connected. So it's not something you can do for yourself, even if you have the smoking gun, if you will, in the VA's record showing what happened. Mart Winston, why does the VA deny me for everything? These examiners of the VA never tell the truth about PTSD problems for Vietnam veterans. Mr. Winston, I hear you. The majority of the veterans that we have the opportunity to represent are Vietnam vets. And when I look what is put down on particular PTSD C&P exams, I don't feel like they do a good job. Again, this goes back to what Combat Craig was mentioning as far as putting those C&P exams out so people can see them. If you read them, they're really not impressive. For a mental health exam, it's a very subjective problem. If you look at a back, they want to look at range of motion, which is literally a number. But with mental health, it varies between person to person. So I can't answer that for you. Actually, I'll go back again to what Combat Craig was talking about with putting the Dbqs out. I would recommend to everyone who's going to a C&P exam to search through their database and find the actual exam, the template of the exam for which you're going to see. That way, you will actually know the answers to the questions. You'll know what they're saying and why they're saying it, or why they're asking you, and you'll know where you should fit in there. So if they say, are you a number one, and you jump on number one, well, when you're really a number three, they're going to try to use that against you, that you said you're number one. I'm going to see real quick if I can pull this up. Exams, I think, don't hold me to this, but I think this, I think this, I lost the chat, restore chat. Oh man, I lost all the questions again. Oh, it's a day. All right, so this second thing here should show you which exams they had. That could be dated, but that's what I had for a thumbnail on that. Okay, where am I? Mr. Keyser again, thanks for answering my question. I do have a Nexus letter 3 of the counting, and I still get denied for no complaints in service. So it's not just complaints, it could be an event. If you were on a base in Iraq and you saw somebody get blown up just 3 blocks from you, okay, that's an event. It didn't even happen directly to you. If you're in service and you were a boxer and you get knocked down 18 different times, you get knocked out 4 different times, maybe you didn't even go see the doc, but at the same time, that's an event. So you got to find instances, not just, it's nice if you have a complaint in a medical record showing what happened. That's beautiful. That does not always happen. So you got to figure out what was an event or what happened as a result of the event. Somebody got knocked out, boxer, back to that example. Did it turn into a point to where the it's a TBI and the veteran's performance went down because he was losing memory, he just wasn't reacting as quickly. Those are the kind of things you look for as far as an event. All right, so let's see. I missed a couple of these. Okay, suggest claimants engage WP only if they've been denied a claim, or do you work with initial filers or waiting to file an updated claim? Okay, Tim Sherman, I think you're talking about us, WPs, H&P. Only if so I do not suggest you engage me, my firm, or any other law firm for an initial claim, for a reopening claim. Frankly, even if you're filing an appeal and you feel like you have the evidence that they're talking about and they ignored it, or evidence that updates what you have, I say you do that yourself. You shouldn't have to pay someone to get the benefits you deserve. And that sounds weird coming from me, because that's how I make a living, is helping benefits. But I prefer to help. And again, I think I said this earlier, most of the vets we help are Vietnam vets because they've been filing for decades and they've been getting denied and screwed over and not getting the ratings they should. So when one of those folks come to me, they've got a lot of negative evidence against them, usually in the form of C&P exams, and they need somebody who's going to fight back with the law, with medical experts. So I would never recommend going straight to an attorney. If you have an attorney who's courting you on that, I'd be leery of that. So no, don't come to us if you haven't filed. That's and it was, I think at some point you can't do that anyway because it's illegal. The attorney can't get a fee from you. So just, the VA is supposed to help you. I'm jaded, but the VA has a duty to assist you. And I never see where they assist a veteran and get it right because the veteran doesn't want to appeal. But the VA is supposed to go get all your records. They're supposed to get your treating medical records. They're supposed to send you their C&P exam if need be. And so they have an obligation to do this right the first time. All right, John F. If you don't have service records due to the old school thought of suck it up and wipe the dirt on it, what can still assist in linking back to service time? Buddy statements. If you can get statements from those who served from you, that's the best way. If you can show that, again, your performance went down, that's another way. If you can show, if we're talking about combat issue, if you can show that your base was attacked, that's one way. Just because you don't have medical records does not mean your case is dead in the water. Harder to prove, no doubt, but there are other ways. And even if you don't know anyone, not speaking with anyone currently you serve with, Facebook is amazing. And you don't hear that right now a lot. Facebook being amazing, but Facebook is amazing for this purpose on finding those whom you serve with and trying to get back in touch. And that way, hopefully getting a buddy statement. All right. Runyon Foster, on average, how long is appeals taking to BVA without a hearing? I mean, again, if I knew the answer to this, I'd go get the winning lottery ticket right now because I feel like I have the same odds of telling you each one. They're saying it's only taking several months without a hearing. I don't see that. I see at least a year if I'm lucky. So I don't know. I do know that the BVA is getting more and more backlogged right now, and it's going to get to the point where it's many, many years like it used to be because most vets are taking their claim up to the board. Right now, I would say under a year without a hearing, without adding evidence. Army George, they have my severance pay, early retirement, recoupment all messed up. Department of Veterans Affairs saying I owe a bunch of money when I don't. Can you guys help me with that? With this, I have documentation. Unfortunately, Mr. George, we don't handle those kind of claims. We get, in a backhanded way, we get these claims when we get a vet awarded benefits. The benefits won't go to our veteran. just sit there, and then this goes to the DoD, who looks at severance pay, who looks at early retirement recoupment, and they're the ones that say how much of the veteran's retro benefit should be withheld. We have tried to work with them for 10 years, trying to figure out who's responsible with that, how we do internal appeals, and we've gotten nowhere. So we're not your firm for that, unfortunately. Paul, let's see, John. Okay, good. He's old as dirt vet. I thought a lawyer could only work on denied claims. That's the reason for my question. Denied or reopened claims in some certain circumstances. It's not as clear now, because the claim to reopen, if it's within a year, an attorney can help you, but if it's not, then the attorney cannot charge a fee. Tim Sherman, thoughts on whether there's a future for potential for PTSD claimants to be denied gun ownership rights with some of the recent proposed gun legislation, specifically with relation to mental health? I have not seen that come to the VA sphere yet. Doesn't mean that it can't. I don't deny that, but I don't. The VA can't come and get your guns. Like, that's not a. They have no federal state authority to do that. So I'd be surprised if that was something that we're given. Charles Keyser, thank you for answering the question. I do have next letters. Okay, still got denied. All right. We went over that. I just lost where I was here. All right. E-time, your videos helped me get 100% P&T immediately upon leaving 20 years service. Wow, that's great to hear. Thanks for that note. 61 Volp, I filed my appeal 2/17/21. Will it take 12 months to get the answer to my appeal? I don't know what your appeal is. If it's in a higher level review appeal, it will not. It should take maybe 4 months. If it's a board appeal, depends on if you ask for a hearing, if you want to submit more evidence, or if it's a direct appeal, that can be anywhere from, say, 4 months to 3 years. All right. Shoe fits. If you're 100%, what's your income cap? If I'm making 100K a year on rental properties, do I lose my disability? These are two distinct questions. I think I put in there what you make a year, but you don't have an income cap if you're 100% for one disability or combined 100%. There are issues of income if you do have unemployability, but even if you have unemployability and you're making 100K a year from rental properties, you would not lose your disability. So neither 100% straight or unemployability, unless you're the one building the properties, doing all the maintenance of the properties, basically spending 40 hours a week doing that. The unemployability could come in question. The 100% would only come into question if the VA said, well, we think you've improved. We think your back's better. We think that your leg's better, or your shoulder, or whatever. So they wouldn't necessarily come after you for a financial reason if you're straight 100%. But if they say, well, look, he's doing all these things, he should be better. But if it's just 100K on passive rental income, meaning you're just getting the money as it comes in for rent, maybe you're changing a light bulb, maybe you're the one who does all the coordination of who comes in and who goes out. That's all passive stuff. That's not really something they should be coming after you on. All right. AB, I heard plantar fasciitis will lower down the percentage from 50 to 30. When is it going to apply? I've been rated initially at 50, but I'm still on active duty. My understanding is that they're in the what's it called? Question and comment period. This could be another several months. Usually it's about 4 to 6 months from when it starts, depending on how many people comment on it. So I don't know. And the fact is a brand new rating, very well they could reduce it to 30. So that's just something to watch for. Tom Marine Vet, VA C&P examiner wrote a nexus to service for fibromyalgia, and VRO denied the claim, now on appeal to the board. Tom Marine Vet. Well, I don't know what to say about that. I've seen that, unfortunately, quite a few times where the VA asks for an exam, gets an exam and totally ignores his exam. So it's a good thing you are appealing it to the board. If this is a Gulf War issue, they just screw this up left and right. They'll say that the fibromyalgia was identified as a diagnosis and therefore cannot be a, how do I say that? Cannot be Gulf War because you have a diagnosis. When the regulation for the Gulf War specifically states that fibromyalgia is a disorder that is known to be related to what happened to the, to Gulf War. So that's one I think you definitely need to appeal. I find that the board doesn't get confused as easily and they understand the law on those issues. Is it difficult to get aid in attendance? I mean, without facts, I can't really answer that. You do have to show that you need the help of someone else on basically a day-to-day basis to get that. Aaron Crone, I have been denied sleep apnea. No complaint in service of sleep apnea, but in a screening in service, it said I had right vertical hypertrophy. Is there a connection? I can't tell you. Most of the issues we deal with, we have to do pretty extreme research. I mean, there's some common ones like with sleep apnea, PTSD, but that's a new one to me. So I would look at the research if I were you, and then if that's the case, either present it to a VA C&P examiner or go out and find a medical doc to help you yourself. All right, Louis C. The PTSD rating was a DSM-5 from my C&P examiner doctor's diagnosis. Okay, so this, Louis, you had said you are 5 out of 6. What should your rating be? Again, I don't know what a 5 out of 6 is. I've read quite a few VA C&P exams for PTSD. There is one section that I guess must have about 6 questions talking about how disabled you are. And so I guess the 6th rating is 100% and the 5th rating is 70. So I guess that's where you would be, and this is shooting from the hip from what you just gave me, but that's what I would say it is. And what you want to consider is if you're 70%, does it interfere with your ability to work? Are you able to keep a job? Do you have a job that's sheltered, working for a family member or a friend? Because a lot of times at 70%, I found that it's really hard for veterans to maintain a job and to work for others and to just show up and deal with people on a day-to-day basis. Bill McNeil, with loud noises working around howitzers and on the gun line and participating in firing missions qualifies an event. I have been denied for tinnitus. Yes, all of those together and all of those individually. Kevin S. Why can VA mental health examiner get away with notating 100% level symptoms in the narrative, but not checking the corresponding boxes related to the symptoms? I see this all the time, and it's maddening. And that's the thing about their little box. They check this, and then they put 2 sentences down there, and the VA examiners will pretty much only look at the box and say, "Oh, they checked that, then that's where it is." So I would appeal that and say, "Look, this is actually what the doctor said. He checked your box here, but he said this. At the least, you should be entitled to a new C&P exam." You could also look to see if you get another. You could also look to see if you could find another doctor to review that, to talk to you, and give you another exam, because that is very frustrating. Marcos, does your firm assist veterans that are TDIU P&T with obtaining SSDI benefits? Marcos, we have actually dropped our Social Security caseload, and we're actually not even really taking cases anymore. We've taken some cases for vets that currently are working with us to get their VA benefits, but mostly we've just reduced that altogether. That being said, you should definitely find an attorney if you've went for Social Security and did not get the benefits you deserved. All right, Muhammad Arkham, what about sleep apnea? I'm gonna need a little bit more than that because I'm not quite sure. I apologize if and actually I don't think I looked at that earlier, so give me a little more information. Old is dirt veteran. How long does it take a lawyer to get a claims file? Totally depends. It could be 3 months. It could be a year. Some attorneys have access to their e-folder system, the VA, and so that could be a couple of months. But it just depends. In our firm, we have to file a lot of appeals, threatened lawsuits for the VA to actually send it over. So it's a frustrating process, and that it should be a lot quicker than it is. Okay, Michelle Flood, is medical and mental health listed separate for 100%? There is a rating for mental health for 100%. And I assume for medical, we're discussing physical issues. So there are 100% ratings for multiple different medical issues as well. John K., in regards to this broken process of appeals and poor medical treatment at VA Medical Center, can depression be found due to this? How can vets feel good about themselves in such a negative treatment? Depression can be, frankly, for any secondary to almost any disability. And what I found with vets, let's say they have a bad back, they're going through the system. Well, the depression typically starts before this, before the VA process starts, meaning that their disability has completely altered their life. They're not able to do what they used to do. They aren't the person they thought they were. And so depression starts to creep in. And then, yes, you can file a claim secondary for depression. I mean, and it can happen anytime. So if the back claim is in ongoing appeal and then it's not being service connected and it's frustrating, then yeah, that could be part of the claim there as well, that VA has caused a secondary depression. So that could definitely happen. Let's see, regards to broken process. All right, yeah, we're getting ready to wrap up. Let's see, Mr. Baker, if I was rejected for IBS presumptive to Southeast Asia due to no diagnosis, and I am diagnosed in the future, is it automatically approved? If you're diagnosed, then basically, yeah, they've said on those other issues that we concede, that you were in the service area, but you just don't have a diagnosis. Then yeah, if you're in Southwest Asia, then you can be service connected for Gulf War syndrome, basically meaning that you, I would say that you have a disability that the VA can't diagnose. That is Gulf War syndrome. So it doesn't work in Southeast Asia, but if you were over in the Gulf, that does work there. Defender, shout out to Combat Craig. He's always good for some good pointers. Mermaid Mia, when you have TDIU, does owning your own business cancel out your business if you make more than 14,000? So this is what I was going back to. If you are the one doing all the work in your business, if you are, essentially you're your own employee, yeah, that's a problem. If you have a business where you have others working for you, you're doing work, but you're doing it when you can and how you can, in a way that if you were the employee of someone else, you'd be fired because you're not actually doing the job on time, then that doesn't matter, meaning that you can make more than $14,000. So it's more of, is it sheltered, meaning like you created the job for yourself or somebody in your family created jobs with you, or is it passive, like rental income? So that's what you want to be considering there. All right, let's see, a couple more here. Just want to make sure. Filthy Rich exclusive. I was denied for PTSD 2 days ago. I had a Nexus and a C&P exam, which were all great, but the VA said they could not verify my stressor, but I know it happened. That reason they denied it. So you need to see, when they say they couldn't verify your stressor, again, you got to go back to your service records, service medical records, where you, does there show a problem there? Service records, were you in a theater of war when it happened? And did the VA C&P examiner said, hey, this is related to his time in theater of war? That's a solid case. That case is done. You just got to appeal it to get somebody who's actually not got their head stuck in the ground, let's say. All right, looks like I'm getting in trouble here that I'm supposed to be done. All right, let me go one more on this. AJ Mack, I just had a C&P exam on Tuesday for TBI. I was called back by the LHI asking me to take a PTSD review today. Are they calling me because the examiner requested C&P exam? That's probably why they are. And what's going on there is a lot of times TBI and PTSD are so intertwined that one can't see it at first. And then once a veteran sees a doctor, the doctor does, well, if you went to TBI exam, you know how thorough it is. They look and they say, well, I think there's two things going on here, TBI and PTSD, or somehow it's all just PTSD. But the point is they're breaking that out, and hopefully that's a good thing because that would be two separate ratings for it. Okay, well, I appreciate all y'all coming on today. I apologize about the problems we had there from the beginning. And I'm glad you guys all stuck with us. These were great questions. Hope it's been some help for you guys. It's great to see that some of you have actually gotten some help from these videos. So thank you for that. Also been told I need to make sure I say this so that you guys get on to watching these videos when they actually go up. But if you subscribe, and that way we can get your comments, your questions, and then if you click notification, we will then be able to send it out to you to when we actually are going live, so that you don't miss this if you have any other questions or concerns or follow-ups. But we appreciate, again, you coming on and being a part of this, and appreciate your service. Thank you so much.